All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the public hearing to order and I'll ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. All right, Maria, roll call.
Councilmember Gully,
Here.
Councilmember Figueroa is absent.
Thank you.
Councilmember Steele is absent. Councilmember Mend. Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Present.
Councilmember Soriento.
Here.
Council President Mantello.
I am here.
5 are present.
All right.
Council President, I move that the council resolve itself into a committee of the whole for the purpose of conducting a public hearing.
All right, Maria, if you could please read the notice that went out for the public hearing.
The City Council of the City of Troy will hold a public hearing on
No problem.
What's that?
She could have just looked. Notice. Yeah.
That's all right.
Hey, Shane, we're going to take a 2-minute break. I apologize. The clerk had to run back. Can you mute us for a minute? Thank you.
The City Council of the City of Troy will hold a public hearing on April 6, 2023 at 5:30 PM and 5:40 PM in the City Council Legislative Chamber, Troy City Hall, 433 River Street, 5th floor, Troy, New York, in connection with the following matters. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider the adoption of new zoning ordinance replacing the existing Chapter 285 of the Troy City Code, and a second public hearing to consider a local law repealing the existing Chapter 285 of the Troy City Code, the current zoning ordinance.
Thank you. We do have a sheet that folks signed up. Please know you do not need to sign up. So after these folks speak, if somebody else would like to speak, we're certainly open. The first one on the list is Stephen Maples, 92 Ida. Hi, Stephen. How are you? Good, good, thank you. I think on the bottom, you might have to turn it on. Perfect,
Is that better? There we go.
perfect.
Hi, everyone. Just coming to comment on urging the city council to drop the convenience store buffer and to drop the single family exclusive district in the low density neighborhood 1 zone. I'm going to just focus my energies on the convenience store buffer. The establishment or continuation of any buffer around the convenience stores undermines the very idea of convenience. The convenience of walking to the local store is negated if the closest store, which already may not be close, doesn't have what you need, and the next nearest store is even further away. This inconvenience incentivizes more Trojans to drive out of town, or to the periphery just to complete a simple errand, further contributing pollution, climate change, traffic violence, and possibly tax monies ending up outside of the city, all for a simple trip that should be able to be completed in their neighborhood. This buffer only makes the inconvenience more likely and foreseeable negative externalities resulting in lesser quality of life, almost assured. And it's been said that the purpose of the buffer around convenience stores is a means of dealing with problematic store owners, that those that are not being good neighbors. This doesn't make sense for 2 basic reasons. First, and perhaps most directly, the buffer would actually reward unneighborly behavior by essentially giving them a quasi-monopoly around it in the area they serve. why wouldn't we want to encourage competition to those businesses and put pressure on them to clean up their act or simply drive them out of business? Second, the better means to regulating unneighborly behavior in businesses is through licensing and permitting, since permitting and licensing processes are directly related to the business and those that run it. It's the more logical place to go after businesses being unneighborly. Using zoning, the rules around how future development can and can't be built to correct this short-term problem is holding future business owners responsible for the sins of current or past business owners. In doing so, it maintains the negative impacts from unneighborly behavior and inconvenience on residents as well. So basically, I think it's a very bad idea. I think it's fundamentally incongruous with the idea of and logic of cities. I'm also going to just put a brief plug into dropping single family exclusive zoning and neighborhood 1 density. I think it's for a variety of reasons, for class and equity reasons, for financial reasons, the fact that we actually that more dense development actually subsidizes less than dense development, and also that it's incredibly harmful for it contributes directly, it's at the root of traffic violence and climate change. So for all these reasons, I urge the council to simply drop these two provisions from the proposed code. Otherwise, I think it's an excellent code and we should move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Appreciate those comments. Next on the list, we have Keith Picard. I hope I pronounced that appropriately.
Hi, I'm just want to make a comment about Recode Troy. I'm in support of that, but I want to read a letter that I sent to all of you. Hopefully you got it. It's unbelievable to me, actually, that after years of work on the proposed Recode Troy zoning laws that had the input of so many professionals, residents, and the city council, that Scott Townsend and the developer he represents is trying to subvert and circumvent the public process at the last moment. The self-serving request to change the zoning law so that he and the developer can build a 7-story project on the block where every historic building is over 100 years old. And all of the buildings are 3 and 4 stories, except for the current historic YWCA building, would have a huge negative impact on our community. The downtown historic core is a huge economic driver for the city of Troy, its businesses and residents. Just over the last 2 years, HBO has spent millions of dollars hiring off-duty policemen, renting out storefronts, redoing storefronts, feeding the restaurants have prospered, the coffee shops. They've hired hundreds of people from the city of Troy. And because of this historic nature of the neighborhood, it's not in our interest for the city to put this asset at risk. I walked into here tonight. That picture right on the wall there shows Age of Innocence in 1982, a Martin Scorsese production, right on First Street. If we put this historic nature at risk, we are losing tax dollars, so jobs for people. This city is being recognized, and I just mentioned HBO for the last 2 years, but there are multiple movie productions that are going on all the time. So, in my view, the integrity of the city council is being challenged, and it's my hope that Scott Townsend and the Spring City Development's request is denied. If Scott Townsend and Spring City Development want to build a project that is too tall for the code, they can always apply to the Zoning Board of Appeals and request an area variance. This is the proper legal path to take, not for one person to come in at the last moment and want to change the zoning code that it hopefully will be accepted right now. And it's a plea, I'm here for myself, but I know the whole block that I live on, which is First Street, is really upset about this. And it's undercutting you as city council for going about the correct path. And so that's all I have to say.
Keith, we
Thank you.
appreciate it. And I know I can only speak for myself, Councilmember Gully and Councilmember Sorrento. We do not support the amendment. So thank you. And thank you for your letter. And thank you to all the folks that wrote in and expressed the concerns and the importance.
We know it's in your hands.
Thank you. Okay, Carolyn Nagy. Hi, Carolyn. How are you? Good.
Okay.
And you could pull it right down.
Yeah, I'm not as tall as. Really partying over here. Okay.
Yeah, if you put, yep. Seamus, I'll give it.
There we go, there we go. Sorry.
Not a problem.
Well, I am not here as an expert in microphone use. I live in Troy, downtown Troy by Washington Park. And I live in a single family in an area that's zoned for multifamily. And the reason I say that is because I think sometimes when we say ending single family zoning, like people think some like, I don't know, like the New World Order is like going to come and like forcibly divide your house, but that's actually not the case. You know, you have the right to build whatever you want. It's just giving you more options. I moved to Troy 6 years ago, and I found it to be a really great place to live. While there's a lot to improve, so I think one of the things I would like is more neighbors and more affordable opportunities for people to rent here, because I've got a lot of friends who my age and younger who would like to stay here and are finding it increasingly difficult to afford housing. And so I think by eliminating the exclusive single family zone from zoning category from the zoning ordinance, I think that would go a far way towards remedying, the racist history of single family zoning, which was kind of invented as a way of keeping lower income folks and people of color out of certain neighborhoods. And, I think like Troy used to have twice as many people as it did. And I think, we can definitely accommodate more folks. I just want to say, I don't live on First Street. I live on Second Street. But, when I think about like, what it is about Troy, I mean, Troy is obviously really, really gifted with amazing architecture, but I really do not think a asphalt parking lot surrounded by a chain link fence is a historic anything, frankly. And, if HBO or whoever like wants to come film here, they can always move the shot just like they've done with the giant hole in the ground that they somehow made to look like Madison Square Park or something in their last thing. So yeah, I really don't. While I love old buildings, I don't actually want to live in a museum dedicated to the past, but a city that can meet the needs of the people who live here. And we know just last week, we had a study put out saying that Rensselaer County is #1 in New York State for evictions. And, the impact of evictions and some of the really substandard housing, that we have around here for renters is, I think a really inhumane situation. And, while I understand that this, is not going like that, this is construction, it's not going to be easy to live near. I think the long-term impacts of having affordable housing for folks who really need it, will go ways to making Troy a stronger and more humane community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Are you any relation to Jill? Gotcha. Thank you. David Graham is next, 148 Second Street.
Good evening.
Hi, David.
I also support the adoption of the new code. I do not support grandfathering or grace periods for any proposed projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
David, less is more. I like that. I like that. Maria is in heaven, okay? It's her birthday and she's just counting those minutes. Thank you, David. Jonathan Tingley is next. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, Jonathan Tingley
You
with the
can pull
law,
it right up. Thank you.
Jonathan Tingley with the law firm of Gilchrist Tingley. I represent Russell Brooks, who lives at 37 First Street. And that is located in the proposed downtown 1 development intensity zone. We did submit a letter this afternoon by email. I do believe that was received. If not, I do have hard copies if anybody needs it. I will be respectful of the council's time. Just in summary, the distinction between the downtown 1 and downtown 2 development intensity zones is the product of a lot of work by the city council, the city officials, city consultants, city volunteers, city residents. And on behalf of Russell Brooks, we're asking that the proposed zoning ordinance as currently drafted be adopted with the downtown 1 development intensity zone retained along with its lot development standards. It's important to note that that does not prevent the construction of multifamily housing in that zone, but it makes sure that that development of multifamily housing is consistent with the traditional historic pattern of development in that really important and unique neighborhood. The second thing that we would like to ask is that the city council not provide an opportunity for developers to undermine the new zoning code by giving a period of time to allow them to pursue projects that are not consistent with the new zoning code if and when it's adopted. We're asking that it be adopted tonight and that it be effective immediately upon filing with the Department of State so that that neighborhood can be protected and it can be developed in accordance with this traditional historic pattern, and that historic neighborhood can be preserved just like the city wants to do. Thank you very much.
Very nice. Thank you, Jonathan. Very well said. And thank you for your letter. Thank you. Did any council member need a hard copy before Jonathan Boots? You know what, Maria? Why don't you just grab one? I know you could print it, but we'll take one. And thank you again, Jonathan. Yep, perfect. Thanks. Thank you. That concludes the folks who signed up. Anyone else that would like to speak, come on up. Thank you. If you could just identify your, state your name and a proximity where you live. You don't have to give your exact address.
Sure. Good evening, council members. My name is Clark Foley. I live on River Street, which is, as you know, parallel to First Street. I just wanted to advocate and reiterate the sentiment from a lot of the neighborhood members about what David, Keith, and Jonathan have spoken about. We're in support of the new code for Recode Troy, but also want to be adamant in our dissension of the proposed building of a 7-story building between River Street and First Street. I just wanted to mention that as a longtime resident of Troy, moving here in 2007, beginning to rent my apartment on River Street in 2010, and then being a proud homeowner in 2018. I believe that any exceptions or grace periods given on this code will negatively affect the neighborhood in multiple aspects. So I just wanted to also stand up as somebody who lives on an adjacent street, River Street, and also call out that we're in support of this, of our effort to prevent that from happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you. And thanks for investing in Troy. And for the record, Councilmember Figueroa is now with us and has joined us. Thank you, Councilmember. Would anyone else like to speak? Yes. Hi there.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm Phil Farinacci and First Street as well. Just want to say that I'm here. I wrote an email earlier today here to support the current Recode Troy as it is. I know that I remember getting emails years ago, and that's been a very long process. I know everybody's worked very hard on that. And I think it's taken a lot of people opinions and ideas into consideration. I don't think it's fair to try to make exceptions for an individual or amend that in any way. I think it's important to try to maintain that character of that block. I think many of us have spent a lot of time working hard and working with the city to maintain that block. So just wanted to come and speak today.
Thank you so much, Phil. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak at this public hearing? All right, yes, come on up. Hi there.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Anthony Moen, 168 Second Street. I also serve on the planning commission, but I am here in my own personal capacity. And as the commission did previously, I am recommending that we do adopt the new code ordinance, our zoning ordinance. I think in general, it's a progressive ordinance that has a lot of benefits over the current code. One thing I do think, and I said this on the record during our planning commission hearings, consideration of the code, is that I do think we should consider eliminating the single family exclusive zone. Honestly, I think that if the neighborhood 1 intensity zone was eliminated and those zones were just rezoned into the neighborhood 2 intensity zone, that would essentially achieve one of the goals of the current code or the proposed code, but enhance them and looking forward to a less carbon intensive future for our city. I think that overall, the city has made great leaps in terms of planning for the future to be a more environmentally friendly, walkable city, and eliminating the neighborhood 1 density intensity zone, and simply having the neighborhood 2 to allow for that mixed use development in more of our neighborhoods will be for the benefit of our city and a more progressive view of our future. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anthony. And real quick, you did mention this at the planning commission meeting also.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I made my
Um,
views not on the record
All
there.
right. I wasn't aware of that. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep. Would anyone else like to speak on any, or I should say on the public hearing, rezone? Okay. Thank you very much. I'll take a motion to adjourn the first public hearing. Motion, Councilmember Gully, is there a second? Second, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, let's go into the second. I will now call the second public hearing to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, Councilmember Men and I did not discuss our attire this evening, but I noticed with the Pledge of Allegiance, she's standing far away from me, so we don't blend. Yes.
Councilmember Gully and Connolly Wilson may have collaborated in their fashion.
Okay. Maybe a little, okay. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Maria, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gully,
Still here.
Councilmember Figueroa is
Here.
here. Councilmember Steele is absent. Councilmember Men,
Men.
Present.
Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Present.
Councilmember Soriento.
Here.
Council President Mantello.
I am still here.
Six are present.
Thank you.
Council President, I move that the council resolve itself into a committee of the whole for the purpose of conducting a public hearing.
And Maria, if you could please read the publication of the notice.
City Council of the City of Troy will hold a public hearing on April 6, 2023 at 5:30 and 5:45 PM in the City Council Legislative Chamber, Troy City Hall. Who wrote this? 433 River Street, 5th floor, Troy, New York. I wrote it. In connection with the following notice, the purpose of the public hearing is to consider the adoption of a new zoning ordinance replacing the existing chapter 285 of the Troy City Code, and a second public hearing to consider a local law repealing the existing chapter 285 of the Troy City Code, the current zoning ordinance.
Thank you, Maria. We will now open up to the second public hearing, which is similar to the first public hearing, but if anyone would like to speak, please feel free to come to the podium and just state your name and address, please. Okay, I will take a motion to adjourn the second.
Second.
We have a motion, Councilmember Gully, a second, Councilmember Soriento. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned from the second. I am going to give a 2-minute break and then we'll go into finance.
I'm only, I really am.
Isn't it the feedback safety zone? We have to really get some painter sticks.
I do go to Walmart, and buy one that said Lucky on it.
I think I'm okay.
What is it?
We are now going to open the finance meeting. I ask everyone to stand for our third pledge of allegiance. Thank you. And how about Councilmember Conley Wilson? Lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember. We're going to take a quick roll call. Councilmember Gully,
Here.
Councilmember Figueroa, Councilmember Steele's absent, Councilmember Min, Councilmember Conley Wilson, present, Councilmember Soriento, still here. All right, Council President Mantello is here. We have 6 present, 1 absent. Presentation of the agenda. You'll see a number of items related to the new zoning, the proposed new zoning update for the city of Troy. Long overdue, a lot of work went into. You'll also see a couple other pieces of legislation. Some, I believe, okay, all of these items, should they pass, they will be acted on at the regular meeting. So I'll open it up first to Steve Strickman. If Steve could join us. Steve is going to give us a brief overview of the new zoning update. Steve, I know a couple of council members may have questions after your presentation. Steve also gave us a one-pager on the zoning update. And Steve, I do want to commend you, River Street Planning, Monica from River Street Planning, and all the folks that put so much time and energy into this. So thank you very, very much. It's a year and a half. It probably feels like yesterday, right?
Actually, we started before COVID, so it's
Wow.
been a long time.
Jeez.
As I say every time I do this, this is a total rewrite of the zoning ordinance. Everything has changed, yet at the same time, nothing has changed. All of the neighborhoods have been protected the way they were and actually we've gone. So most of the zoning that changed did not change the underlying uses allowed, although we did clarify a lot of it. We include the best modern zoning practices that have practical application in Troy. Not all tools are appropriate everywhere. It streamlines the regulations and presents information in ways that are easier to understand. There's tables, there's graphics. You don't have to look back each chapter to find out what was allowed in the previous chapter to see if it's still allowed in this chapter. It's more user-friendly. It protects neighborhood character and supports urban infill. The last ordinance was really urban or suburban in style with huge setbacks that really did not look for things to be developed the way they should be developed within the existing character of Troy. It increases opportunities for people to live and work, play in mixed-use neighborhoods, and it updates permitting and review processes so that the zoning board, the planning commission, staff have better guidance on what they need to do or how to implement the law. The key highlights, again, user-friendly tables, more housing development flexibility by permitting accessory dwelling units, attached dwelling units, flexible unit size and removal of density cap. The lot development requirements that support existing urban character, not the suburban character. And I'm sorry, some of this I'm repeating, but new architectural guidelines that help, again, try and preserve the character of the neighborhood. Let's see, inclusion of placemaking elements as part of development, signage updates. The old signage ordinance portion was overly allowed for huge signs, lots of signs, and we narrowed that down a little bit. Standards related to fresh food options in convenience stores. We restricted a lot of drive-through automobile-oriented uses so that they're only allowed in certain locations now. We updated parking requirements, so we removed the antiquated off-street requirements. So while there are no requirements for parking other than in a couple areas, the developers will have to show how they're going to meet the demand of parking. So it doesn't just require paving of large areas for a convenience store or for a drugstore. We have EV charging station requirements, bike parking requirements, pedestrian connections, so sidewalks through parking lots. So we try to make everything, continue to make Troy a more walkable community. We created a resilient waterfront and flood risk overlay that protects development near the river, near the streams, how close you can build, what uses can be there. And support for, along those lines, support for green infrastructure and better stormwater management. To address some of the comments made tonight, the convenience store has always been a difficult challenge. It is a type of use versus, I mean, you do want to, everybody wants to be able to buy milk close and not have to walk. I know this has been discussed for years and years, even before I got here, which was 7 years ago. And we determined to keep that in place, the restriction on the proximity of the convenience stores. And again, that came up, it went both ways with all of the public meetings. People wanted to not have too many convenience stores, yet people wanted to have the ability to have stores in their neighborhood. And that was the happy medium. We basically, we left it in place the way it is with the distance, which I can't remember off the thing, 500 feet.
500 feet.
Right.
So that's remained in place. As for removing
can we stay on that real quick? And council members, don't hesitate to jump in, just go through the chair. Steve, regarding the convenience stores, that still would not preclude one per se, would it? Would they be able to get a variance through zoning, or is it adamantly, non-starter?
You can always apply for a variance. That's an area variance, the distance from that store to another one. I mean, those will come up. Somebody's had a convenience store, it's closed, another one opened up, and now they want to lease it out again. No, it doesn't prohibit it. People can still go through the variance application for that.
Right. Because if you think about it, over in North Central, we had the old Stewart's close, and literally a block away is the other corner store on 7th. So, it might be close to 500 feet. And, yeah. Right. Oh, they do. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Okay.
And for new convenience stores, we also have requirements for fresh produce, so they're not all just donuts and cookies. There has to be a certain allocation towards fresh produce in new stores.
Good. Good.
As for-
Did anyone have questions regarding that? Council member Conley Wilson.
I guess I'm still not quite understanding what is the reason for keeping that? Is it just because there's both ways, or?
It's absolutely, I've been at meetings where the neighborhood has said, we don't want convenience stores are a problem. We don't want any more convenience stores. And then we initially in our first pass tried to make it so that the ability within certain residential neighborhoods to add commercial on the ground floor. And then we say, well, yeah, we want the ability to have stores there, but we don't want convenience stores. So it went both ways. And again, there's great convenience stores and there's problem convenience stores. And regulation, as you can see, regulation is tough on our part. So the limitation is really how we opted to go through it, as has been discussed at numerous meetings prior to most of you and most of me being either in staff or on city council here. But that was, again, it wasn't just we want convenience stores everywhere. There was a lot of objection still to that use.
Council President,
Yes, council member first, Conley Wilson,
when you're done.
are you okay?
So
Council member Gully.
Steve, the way I look at it, it's 500 feet. That means if there's a store in one corner, there can be another store a block and a half away.
Yes.
The problem I had seen in Lansingburg in a few spots that we were getting 3 stores on a block,
Right.
which is overwhelming. And then they utilize sometimes, if they're not getting the sales out of their store, there's other things that have happened that, nothing I can really specifically mention out here that I would mention out here, but we all know what goes on in some of the stores. So what I'll say is I agree. We do need stores in our neighborhoods, but I don't think a block and a half is too far to walk from one store to another to get milk or bread. It's not as though they have to go to another city or the other end of town. We're talking about a block and a half. I think that's very reasonable. And I think that if there is a situation where they need a store, they can apply for a variance, right? And they could add it if it was needed in the neighborhood. So it's not as though we say nobody can go in there. If they need it, I'm sure we would look at that, logistically. But we had a problem where too many stores are popping up
Right.
in too small an area. And it was really taking away from the neighborhood. So based on what I've seen out there, and I'm out in the street every day. So
It's a tough one, and, I think it's about balance, but Councilmember Gully is correct, because at one of the Lansingburg Neighborhood Association meetings, there were proposals to literally put a convenience store within a block, and I won't say where, but there was quite a lot of tension. There is, Councilmember Gully, are you okay?
I'm good.
Okay. Steve, someone did ask, and this is a good question, people that say that are grandfathered in, and then if they sell, does the new owner get grandfathered?
Well, if it's an existing use, I would say it would be a grandfathered use. Yeah,
Okay.
they could sell, you have sell an operating convenience store, it's an operating convenience store, nothing's changed.
Okay, okay. Good question. Did anyone else have any other questions regarding the convenience stores? Okay, if you could hit this other major issue that honestly, it was not brought to my attention until the past couple days, and I'm really curious, the public meetings, I saw some of them, but the one family exclusive, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
So that is certainly a trend across the country to get rid of single family, the Northwest, in California. It was our feeling that those are high demand locations where more housing is needed, and more housing is needed in Troy as well. But our feeling was the single family neighborhoods right now are working. There's lots of properties in the downtown that need to be improved, that can be improved, and really to create an incentive right now for someone to convert their house into a 2-family or a 3-family, make a lot of money and sell it. I think it's just right now an opportunity to attract more investors into some of our other neighborhoods where we still have lots of development opportunity in a lot of our neighborhoods downtown. And so I think there probably will become a time in Troy where we're ready to do that. You could revisit it again in 5 years. You could revisit it again in 10 years. I just don't think right now is the time to do that.
And I have seen some one families go to zoning and turn into a 2 or 3 family in certain areas.
And we do have it happening, and that they do get converted, sometimes legally, sometimes illegal, sometimes with the use of a variance.
Right.
But it creates parking issues. Creates a lot of issues. And again, we talked about this quite a bit because two of the members on our team were strongly in support of that. But it was just determined really to wait and keep the one families the way they are right now and look at it in the future.
Okay. And, I don't want, something so positive to come across biased, so I really wanted to talk about that, very publicly and see where the thinking was behind the scenes when all of you met, et cetera.
So it was discussed.
Okay. Did anyone else want to hit that subject?
Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Gully.
Also, with this new recode plan, as we move along through it, if there needs to be any type of amendments or adjustments, that can always be done in the future as we watch the flow of the new code, right? So it's not as though we shut.
He's not saying next week.
I already have a page going with changes. I've already got 5.
There isn't really, so anybody out there that thinks that this is a Loctite program, it's not. It's just an evaluation and an improvement on our code that can be adjusted moving forward as we see, like everything you put out. There's always some tweak.
I promise you I'll be back, unfortunately.
And-
Never perfect. You miss stuff when you're creating the ordinance, things that need to be corrected.
Yeah.
And on that note, it would have to go through public hearings and local law, which is important. So everyone is heard, but this most certainly is not a final. I think as, Troy's demographics change and the city continues to change and, neighborhoods changing, I think we're going to have to reevaluate certain things.
Council President, no.
Yes, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
I guess, Steve, my question,
Councilmember, is your mic on?
sorry, I'm
It's
probably not
okay.
speaking into it all the way. So you mentioned you don't think it's the right time right now to convert, to eliminate exclusionary single family zoning. What qualities, do you think would require that in your kind of experience with as?
Well, I think when we have less vacancies, when we have less properties downtown that still provide an opportunity to develop and increase housing in what is really the more walkable, transit-oriented downtown, as opposed to, unfortunately, the single-family styles were not created around transit. They were created around the automobile. And just putting more housing in there, you're going to put a new demand on CDTA for new transit services. Yeah, there are some there are buses that run along Pauling and Hoosick Street, but not necessarily into the neighborhoods as much as downtown where they run on, 3rd Street, 4th Street, 2nd Street, whatever. They run north-south and provide services. So I think it's more in the future when you start finding that you have more need to create housing.
Gotcha.
And again, we have a need to create housing. We have ample opportunities right now.
Sorry, I lost my second question.
It's okay. And it'll come again in the infrastructure, I think, to what you just said.
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Min.
Well, and I think one of the thoughtful and sensitive parts of even our single family lowest density housing is that one, it allows variance if you do want to convert to a two-family or build a two-family, and two, that every part of Troy allows what is very traditional housing in Troy, which is accessory dwelling units. And you can go, for example, up Maple Avenue and what appears to be a garage, just a few doors down from the mayor, was originally housing for the family's staff. And that's traditional housing throughout the city, certainly in downtown with carriage houses serving that mixed use. And so that I think that does offer us a buffer as we continue to grow and attract more people to Troy, that there's a multi-phase way to make every neighborhood more accessible. And I do think that there will come a time, probably sooner than 5 years, where we come back and we revisit this as the needs for housing change, as the capital region really explodes as a national leader in the nanotech industry, wind power industry. We're really poised for substantial growth. And so I suspect that much sooner than we expect, we will be back and revisiting this because the housing pressure will really call for it. At least that is, that's sort of where I look and see the trends headed. But currently, I think the way this code has been crafted, it does allow more flexibility than you might appear to see on the surface.
Thank you. Any further questions?
President.
Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Steve, I'm just curious in terms of like variances, like how many do you feel like you see, like maybe like a year, and out of all those, do you see a chunk of them changing single family to multifamily, or what's kind of the layout of those?
We probably, and I'm guessing, we get 5 a year, 6 a year. Frequently, they are actually pre-existing that nobody was, pre-existing but vacant, and the clerk had them, or the assessor had them registered as one families, but they were actually two families. They do happen a lot. The zoning board, it's a hard variance to get. It's a use variance.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to prove why you need it. So we get them, they get approved.
And do you feel like in terms of the overall the amount of variances that you guys get with the new zoning code, does that address kind of the other ones that you guys get, not just the single to multi, but
A lot of parking variances, a lot of side yard setback, front yard setback when you're downtown and it says you need to be set back 25 feet, but everybody else is set back 5 feet. We get a lot of those. Putting residential on the ground floor. Why wouldn't you be able to put residential on the ground floor? You can't have a store on every first floor all over the city. So those types. But I think, yes, we will certainly get a lot less variances, but who knows what we'll get unearthed as we move forward.
Council
Okay.
President.
Councilmember Soriento.
I mean, I do like the idea of multifamily homes, but also single family homes are very important as well. Just, I want to put that out there. It's really important to give all residents an option of multifamily and single family, because someone can say, you know what, I don't want to share my house with someone else. And if that's the case, then I'm not gonna invest in Troy. I'm not gonna live here. you know? And, or it could drive people out. So having the option of wanting a single family home or multifamily, I think it's important also. Just want to,
Never really thought of that, but I was born in North Central and we were in two-family and our aunt was upstairs who always had a pot of sauce on. But she had a number of kids. We started to outgrow our first floor. And, you know, the dream of my parents was moving into one family and we did. I get that, but I wasn't thinking in that direction. So,
so it's good to have options.
yeah, Councilmember Figueroa.
Just to piggyback off of that as well, and it also comes with larger responsibilities. So now
Good
that you
point.
have a single family home, right now you converting it now is probably more garbage fee, more fees, more taxes because you're converting it into a two-family. So some of those things we have to really look into that and take in some consideration before we can like say, okay, you need to convert, you know, and like you said, you know, not everybody. Some single families are historic to people and been there for years, and there's people that have been there so long that they don't want to do to it completely. But like I said, converting that to a two-family, I mean, it could come with more responsibilities and probably more finance as well. Although you can rent it out, but you still have responsibilities and costs with that just consideration.
Good point, Councilmember Figueroa.
Council President.
Councilmember Min.
As an architecture nerd, one of my favorite things is to go and look at Sanborn fire insurance maps. And these are maps that were created in the 19th century and then updated regularly, sometimes every 10 years. And they tell a story of the history of a city and its development. In fact, they sort of tell a story of zoning. And we're very blessed that both our library and that the Clark Cluett Museum has a very complete collection for Troy. And one of the things that I've done is to look at my own home and see its evolution over time. And my home was built in the 1830s as a single family home. It's now apartments with basically, you know, in 10 people living in my home, which was probably normal when it was a single family home because people had a lot more children. But, you know, over time, it has gone from a single family home to a two-family home to apartments. At one point, it was a tenement, which more like a rooming house, and then back to apartments. And I think it shows as the needs of a city change and the needs of a population change and the needs of a neighborhood change, good buildings have that flexibility to change. And there may be neighborhoods that are single family now that in 5 years are more two family, and in 15 years are multifamily. And there may come a point in time where they return to their original function. And that's natural and normal in a city that allows flexibility and is willing to recognize that housing and buildings are also a conversation about what a community needs, both on a very individual, personal level, but also collectively. And so I think, you know, the code as proposed does offer that some flexibility, but I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation and one that I would really encourage people to learn more about and to participate in, because we will be back here. Code is a living document. Good code is a living document. And when it stops being responsive, it dies.
Okay.
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
I mean, I feel like Emily, what you're saying is aligned with what I'm saying. I think having that flexibility in not having an exclusionary single family zone allows that change in housing and providing the needs of the people and having affordable housing and all of those kinds of things by just being able to make the choice as like a property owner. Okay, maybe I do, maybe I want maybe I'm aging and I want like my granddaughter to live with me, you know? and, have her own space and all that. I think having that flexibility, I think down the road, and even now, I think thinking, 5 years in the future, what do we want our city to look like? Making that decision now, I think is actually helpful. I might be the only one that thinks that today. But I do think that, having that exclusionary zoning kind of limits what people can do. I understand you can get a variance and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think anything's going to like change overnight, but I just do think that it is something to consider now and hopefully consider in the future as well, because I do think that, the 10-minute city, like being able to like find the things that you want to see and like having a lot of, having a lot of flexibility in terms of where people can live and where people can, have like apartments and things like that and access to the law. I just think that flexibility we could, implement now. I think there are aspects of it that are in the code. I think in the new zoning ordinance, and I think the new zoning ordinance is great, but these are just kind of two things that I think are lacking.
Fair enough. Yep. Any other council members before we move on? Steve, real quick, I was kind of bummed that you didn't mention RV, all the work that went into just regulating these, but balancing that with so many folks who are, creating beehives and things to that nature.
We did do a lot to
Yes.
open up farming and
Yes.
agricultural uses, and Maria doesn't want me to talk much more about them, so.
Maria's not in charge, okay? Even though it's her birthday and her day, she's not in charge. But real quick, I did notice goats and pot-bellied pigs have been added. Were they were excluded
not allowed
prior. That's what I
previously,
thought. Do we have any present now? I don't know if
I'm
any.
sure we do, but I don't know where. So I know we have a pig and a pony somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I
we
did
do
hear
have.
of the pony, a llama, I believe, isn't it? A llama?
It's
No?
a miniature pony.
A miniature pony, okay. I have seen that running around South Troy here and there. Are ponies in here? I didn't see ponies.
I don't remember now if horses or, I don't remember. I'd have to go back in and look. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Steve. And thank you honestly for you and, River Street Planning. Awesome job. And I'd be remiss, I see him hiding in the back, but Rick Morrissey has poured in just hours into this code. And I'm sure he never wants to hear the word code again, but thank you, Rick. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. And we'll get rolling. We'll open the public forum. And would anyone like to speak on any item on the agenda? Okay, we'll close the public forum, go right into the agenda. Local law 1, a local law repealing current Troy City Code, Chapter 285, to be replaced by new zoning ordinance. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration. I do believe we have to do the seeker before the local law, correct, Rick? Okay, so we are not going to take a motion on that, and we're going to jump to Resolution 41. Resolution 41, resolution determining that proposed type 1 action to enact a new zoning ordinance has no significant adverse impacts on the environment. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Min, discussion? All, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
I would argue that this code actually helps the environment. There's a lot of really cool sustainability aspects, like you mentioned, the limited parking, the urban agriculture, all that kind of stuff is really great and reduces our food miles. So super excited to see this.
Absolutely, more EV charging and things to that nature. Totally agree. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 41 carries 6-0. We're going to jump back to local law 1. Local law repealing current Troy City Code chapter. No, I think that can go after. Chapter 285 to be replaced by new zoning ordinance. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration. Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Men. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Local law 1 carries 6-0. Ordinance 22. Thank you. Ordinance 22, ordinance approving settlement and tax certiorari proceedings instituted by Bridgestone Retail Operations LLC on the 2022 assessment roll of the city of Troy. Councilmember Gully at the request of the administration. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Men. I would just ask Rick to come up real quick. I think someone had a question on this, but if you don't mind just giving a quick overview. Thank you. Hello there. Hi. If you don't mind, Bridgestone. I think folks just wanting a quick overview of the thinking behind this certiorari.
Well, the thinking behind it, they challenge their assessment. We have equalization problem in the city. Our equalization rate is such that many properties appear over assessed. So that it has been easier and easier to challenge to assess. So this is just reduced based on what we do, when you apply a property equalization rate, it's very close to market value. $89 a square foot, which is based on comparable sales. And it's not negotiated.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Did anyone have
Council
any
President?
follow-up questions? Councilmember Soriento.
Was this an actual agreement made from the, it wasn't like, it wasn't, I mean, did it go before a judge? Did a judge?
A certiorari proceeding challenging the tax assessment.
Okay, yep.
Parties, city.
Was the settlement though? maybe-
The settlement was agreed between the parties, but it was subject to council approval.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Ordinance 22, are you a yay or nay?
No.
Okay, I
Sorry.
didn't hear you.
Sorry.
Ordinance 22 carries 4-2. Ordinance 23, ordinance amending the 2023 general fund budget and accepting additional grant funds from the Troy CRC Capital Resource Corporation for the 2023 City Council Neighborhood Improvement Program. Council President Mantello, and you can strike out at the request of the administration. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Do I have a second? Second, we have a tie. We're going to give it to Councilmember Figueroa. Discussion. I just want to thank Steve Strikeman and the CRC. Just so folks are aware, the Neighborhood Improvement Program, the council's Neighborhood Improvement Program, the deadline is passed. It's a $20,000 program for very small grants, neighborhood improvement projects. We received a number of proposals. The subcommittee will be meeting next week, and we hope to pass it at the May meeting. Some really good gateway proposals and other proposals. So thank you, Maria, for overseeing that also. So we have a motion. We have a second. Further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 23 carries 6-0. Ordinance 24, ordinance amending the 2023 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Men. Discussion on this. This is the forfeiture monies, and we did approve the software at the last meeting, correct, Andy? Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 24 carries 6-0. Ordinance 25, ordinance enacting and amending a new zoning, land use and development ordinance of the city of Troy, New York, to be codified as chapter 285 of the Troy City Code. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Gully, is there a second? Second, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Discussion?
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
I'd like to propose an amendment to remove the subsection A in the convenience store, just 2552, from the proposed amendment or proposed legislation.
Yep, proposed ordinance. We have a motion on the floor to amend and strike the language regarding single family. Is there a second?
This is
Oh.
regarding the convenience.
I'm
store.
sorry, convenience stores. I'm so sorry. Is there a second? Okay, being that there is no second, the motion fails. Back to the original ordinance. We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
I know we talked about single family exclusionary zoning. I think that it really is beneficial to think not just right now, but think in the future. What do we want our city to look like? What are the needs of our city? And I think it's really important that we consider eliminating exclusionary single family zoning. Because it allows for flexibility, it allows for people in the city to have tenants or have extended family members living with them full time. And I think there's a lot of environmental positive aspects to it. I think that it helps put together the 10-minute city in which there's a lot of people just kind of around. And, I think that's why people move to cities, is to be around other folks. So I would like to strike the single family use from the new zoning ordinance.
We have a motion on the floor to strike a section of the new zoning ordinance of the single family use section.
I have a whole list of them. I just
Okay.
figured going through like.
No,
30
we
of
need
those.
to do them. So we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Okay, being no second, the motion fails. Back to the original ordinance. We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? Okay, we'll take a slow roll. Councilmember Gully. Councilmember Figueroa. Councilmember Steele. Councilmember Men.
Yes, and I would like to also say thank you so much to everyone that has worked on this, the hours put in, the money put in. This is one of the most transformative pieces of legislation that this council will do and future councils will do. This is 100-year impact. So I cannot say thank you enough to everyone that has worked so hard on this and for all of the input from the community. I said zoning is sexy and I mean it. It is transformative. It changes how your city looks, feels, operates. It is incredibly significant. So I am thrilled to vote. Yes.
Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Well, none of my amendments made it through. I still think this is a great piece of legislation. I'm really proud that we're able to, vote on it, and I'm proud that it's gotten to us in this format. And I think Steve has done a great job. I remember back before I was on the council, James Rath was working on this when he was here, and you can certainly see his influence in here as well. And just a lot of really great work went into this. And I think Steve really did incorporate a lot of the feedback that he got. I remember seeing some composting elements, and I was like, I don't know how I could make a compost bin in the middle of my garden. And those have been fixed. So I really am proud of this, and I think it is in the right direction. and moves us closer to the kind of city that, you know, is for everyone. So I vote aye. So yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Conley Wilson, Councilmember Soriento.
Yes.
And Council President, very quickly, I echo all the sentiments and I actually disagree. I think a zoning update to the average person is not sexy. However, the ingredients in this are very sexy. So saying that for me, I particularly love the waterfront overlay. Waterfront is a true passion of mine. We have over 7 miles and we don't have 77 between us. So we have to capitalize on our waterfront, use it as a front door for economic development, environmental protection. I think this document in front of us protects our environment, protects our shoreline, but also incentivizes, encourages economic development. So, you know, this, in my eyes, is a toolbox for developers. If you're a developer, and I saw this in the Hudson Valley during my Greenway tenure, they want to know what the overlay is. They want to know what exclusions, how many feet in a setback, what's the landscaping. So I truly believe that in this instance, more is more, because you want to have that toolbox so developers know how to really create that balance between economic development, environmental protection trails, and so many other access issues. So I just want to thank all the folks involved. And lastly, I'm so glad that we did not entertain the amendment to grandfather particular projects. I really think that that would have harmed the integrity of the document. So thank you to my fellow colleagues for, you know, joining all of us with that. So I vote aye. So ordinance, bear with me, 25 passes 6-0. Ordinance 26, ordinance authorizing settlement of certain opioid litigation claims to wit, City of Troy, plaintiff v. certain manufacturers, distributors, and chain pharmacies et al. Defendants' actions coordinated under caption in regarding opioid litigation, index number 400,000, 2017, Supreme Court, Suffolk County. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, and I am going to quickly ask Rick just to come up quick. This is a longstanding, I believe, settlement, correct, Rick, from the Attorney General's office that we joined in on and are receiving some monies, correct?
That's correct. This is not the first settlement you've seen from this litigation. We are a party plaintiff in this Suffolk County action, kind of a pile-on party plaintiff, but we are going to get a total of 175,000, 40,000 up front, I think, from Walmart, and the rest. And one settler is over 9 years, the other one is over 15 years. So, and they are earmarked for a number of uses that should help the city with coping with addiction and all the problems that result from it, including our EMS and fire.
Very good, very good. And will it be partnerships with various organizations to, you know, create that education and services?
I think that's a great idea for how to do that. I mean, we have a number of organizations that work very closely with people who are addicted to these types of substances. And but we don't have a formal plan yet. I'm not sure how much money Andy has actually collected yet, but he knows it's earmarked. And so I think at some point we'll be bringing a plan to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
I'm just curious, I don't know who can answer this. I don't know if it's the mayor or Rick, in terms of how we are spending that money. I think it's great that it's going to EMS and fire because they are responding to some of these. Is any of this money going to like anything like Narcan training for folks in our departments, or?
There are 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 allowed uses. EMS and fire is just one. And Narcan is another, I believe, naloxone or something like that.
it can be allowed for the purchase of that. You can work with, I believe you can work with volunteer organizations that, assist people in need. Joseph's House might be one place, I don't know exactly.
Gotcha. If there's could you provide us that, is that in here, that list of?
That should be in there as
Okay.
part of the backup documentation. And if it isn't, I can get it for you.
Great.
But I think it is.
It is, it's a long document.
That's what they say.
Find that, it's okay. And I think it would be really helpful for the council, or at least I would be really personally interested in knowing what specifically the city is using this money
I
for.
believe, okay.
They have to
And that we haven't,
contact
that we don't
us.
know yet.
Okay, but it
But-
would be great to be
Yes.
discussed on this because I think a lot of our constituents are concerned about this. I'm concerned about, just the impact of this as well. And, having preventive measures in place can really transform someone's life.
If I recall correctly, if you look at the backup, there are 3 different settlements.
Mhm.
And in each settlement, it has a list of allowed uses. I think they're the same for each one, for this one though.
Gotcha.
And, to Councilmember Conley Wilson, I think all of us, as you said, Rick, we'd like to see a plan where the money will be distributed.
Sure.
in. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 26 carries 6-0. Resolution 39, resolution to proclaim April 2023 as Autism Awareness Month in the city of Troy in conjunction with National Autism Awareness Month and World Autism Awareness Day, April 2nd, 2023. Council President Mantello and all council members certainly are willing to join to co-sponsor this.
I would like to sponsor.
Okay.
Yes, me as well.
Okay, Maria, all council members, and I'm going to take the liberty of putting council member Steele on this reso. So I'll read the reso at the regular meeting. Is there a motion? Motion, council member Soriento. Is there a second? Second, council member Figueroa. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 39 carries 6-0. Resolution 40, resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement by and between the city of Troy and professional services industry. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, council member Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, council member Gully. Andy, do you mind coming up real quick? Thank you. I was looking at this. Are they, I believe they're under contract now, correct? And this is a new contract with them, if I
I
recall.
believe their old contract is expired
Right.
right now. If it hasn't, it's gonna expire any day.
Mm-hmm.
The new RFP was issued.
Okay.
It was reviewed. There was multiple responses.
That
but
was my question.
but I believe there was more than one response. and
I'm sure there
PSI
was.
was the highest score, so this would be a new contract for them.
I figured there was a good amount. Chris, will they be working on the NIC or did they work on the NIC under the prior contract? Were they the Knickerbocker Pool ones or no?
They were involved with the asbestos mediation, as far as doing the air analysis for when that was done.
Okay, all right. Thanks. Did anyone else have any questions? Thanks, Chris. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 40 carries 6-0. Resolution 41 has already been passed, and resolution 42. Resolution of Troy City Council establishing the fee schedule for project review by the Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Historic Review Committee. Councilmember Gully, at the request of the administration, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Men. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Steve, are you here? Real quick, Steve did a very thorough memo, which I truly appreciate. He also showed the old fees and the proposed new fees. And I think the most striking, a couple of the commercials are going up. You compared these with other munis, correct, Steve?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and then one thing I really like, you eliminated the fee for historic review, correct?
Correct. It's really insignificant. It's a burden on owners, and for us to process a $20 fee really doesn't make much sense.
Okay, I like that. I do. Did anyone have any questions on the fee schedule?
I think it also looked like the
Councilmember
Oh,
Conley
sorry.
Wilson, that's okay.
And then I also see the use variance residential went down as well, right?
That went down. So that I had raised that when I first started here, or the council had raised it at my request when I first started here, because we were getting a lot of these conversion requests. So we bumped that one up, but did not really bump up the commercial at the same time. The commercial should go up. I mean, those are, really covers our costs with that. And the residential one, I think we'll see less of them. So, and they're not that hard to work on. So I figured the reducing that back to a more comparable level made sense.
Great, thank you.
And Steve, I totally agree with some of the commercial. I mean, hours and hours of staff can go into review. We saw that with a couple of recent ones. And, we certainly are, we have to at least capture, some of that, those, cost and time, et cetera. So,
You're right. And some of those don't even come close.
no, I'm saying this isn't nearly, especially one of the recent ones, but good. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 42 carries 6-0. I will make a motion to adjourn, and if we are all okay, I'd like to go right into the special. We have a motion. Councilmember Soriento, is there a second? Second, Councilmember Conley Wilson, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
We do a short recess later.
No, I'm kidding. Absolutely. We are going to take a 3-minute short recess for a restroom break.
And water.
And I would ask Frank Mabin, lead us in the pledge, please. We love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to see you, my friend. It's good to see you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Frank Mabin. Just for folks out there, Frank Mabin is one of our huge volunteers and head of the North Central Solidarity Neighborhood Organization. Thank you, Frank. Maria, roll call.
Councilmember Gully,
Here.
Councilmember Figueroa, Councilmember Steele's absent, Councilmember Men,
Present.
Councilmember Conley Wilson,
Present.
Councilmember Soriento,
Here.
Council President Mantello.
I am here.
6 are present.
Thank you. The approval of the minutes, I'll make a motion to approve the March minutes from the regular meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Soriento, discussion?
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember
Um,
Conley Wilson.
I'm having a hard time pulling these up, but I was just wondering if the public comment, if those were attached, any of the letters that we received. I don't. think I saw.
Yes, how it works, Maria puts them into the record. They'll be in the minutes. Are you saying from the March meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, the website was overhauled, so you'll see the minutes are in a different section.
Oh, okay.
See,
Yeah, sorry. It's
okay.
there's two spots where you can see minutes, and one of the minutes.
I don't like the new setup, but we'll talk about that
Yeah,
another time. And you as head of IT, I love to put.
Sorry.
No,
for
we
broken
weren't.
news.
We weren't. Presentation of the agenda, a number of items just past the finance meeting. They will be on the regular meeting. Good news. We're going to skip for now because our good news person that's coming in is running a little bit late. So now I am going to introduce you to two wonderful folks, Fred Miller and Emma Highland. Emma, thank you so much for joining us. Fred and Emma and KJCG, Khalil Jameson, which Fred will talk to you about, has undertaken a huge endeavor. And we want to thank you for all your work, Fred, and thank you for joining us. And Fred's going to give an overview of the wonderful work he's been doing and a May event.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to the council for giving us an opportunity to share some of the work that we've been doing with the police department. I'm Fred Miller, and this is
Emma Highland.
our business is the Khalil Jameson Consulting Group. We're at 500 Federal Street, and I live across from the music hall and been in Troy since 1979 as a person. And our business has been in downtown Troy since 1996. So I've been in the area since 79. And it's been one, I appreciate you having us here. And it's been an experience in a good way of working and moving and helping the police move forward. We're a management consulting firm that focuses on culture change and have worked with many national and international organizations. We have done a lot of pro bono work for Troy, the school district. And in 1999, we did work with the city government around diversity and inclusion, kind of introducing that concept as we do at many companies. We're the firm that coined the phrase inclusion as it applies in organizations. We were the first organization to talk about inclusion, and we wrote a book about that. In 2020, the mayor asked us to assist with education and the betterment of the police department. Our goal was to assist the department to be even more of the department that Troy needs, and for Troy to be even better as a city, both today and tomorrow. We made two strategic decisions as we started it. We needed to know as best we could who the department was. Because if we're going to help and assist somebody, we got to make sure we're assisting people that are in the right place, going in the right direction. So where is the department today is what we started off thinking about. Where does it want to be tomorrow regarding being a great department and serving the people of Troy? with best practices as they exist throughout the country as it relates to the police department. That was one of the things we wanted to do. Is this a department that is worthy of Troy or moving in the right direction for Troy? And we need to start our work working with the police department around where they need to make improvements, where they needed to be better. We're working with a lot of organizations. We're always looking at how they can be better. There's no organization that can't be better. So when working with the police, we're trying to look, were they ready to make changes to be better? The good news is the command staff, Chief DeWolf and the command staff, were already thinking about improvements. So it wasn't like they weren't thinking about improvements and we said, you need improvements. They were thinking about improvements. We helped accelerate that process and add some things, mainly about interactions and how they saw themselves and some of how they interacted internally. The police practices were theirs. We were talking about the interactions and working together. Please.
And Fred, if you want to take the mic out, you can, whatever's good for you.
We're getting along.
Okay. That's important.
So we started with the police department. We're talking to every officer in the department. Every officer in the department. So that listening and learning is where we started. And they had, this is 2020, when every time you turned on the TV, somebody was attacking or challenging or wanting to defund the police. So we had to go through a process with them to gain trust and to have them understand that we were not coming in to beat them up. We weren't coming in to fix them. We were coming in to join them and help them be the police department that they wanted to be. And so we had to go through a process with them. It wasn't instant, partnership and inclusion. But we talked to everybody to make sure we heard everybody's voice. Then we've done a series of meetings over the last couple of years with the command staff. We have the command staff almost every month for 2 or 3 hours. And we've done educational sessions with people throughout the police department. Most recently, in the last thing on that middle column, in November, we had 3 hours with every person in the police department. And they were in groups of 20. So they was all there, involved and engaged, and they were. And then we did 3 hours then, and then we did 4 more hours in February and March. And that was, we've been around a while. We weren't like, who are these strangers? And so we had very, very good sessions with them in that last round in February and March, knowing them, understanding them, seeing what their needs are, seeing where they saw areas of improvement. So our challenge was, is this going to be a police department that's trying to be a police department of old, like they used to be? Or is this a police department that Troy deserves as being more progressive and moving forward? And we saw them moving in a way that was more progressive and moving forward. Are they fully there? No. But do we think that they're on the path as consultants who work with lots and lots of organizations? Do we think they're on the path to getting there? I think Chief DeWolf we're fortunate to have him. I think he breathes and lives Troy and appreciates the role that the police have in Troy. So I think that's to our advantage. And I think the police officers in general are leaning in to moving and being the police force that we need. There's still work to be done. There's past grievances that people still have that need to be either addressed or somehow resolved in some way. And we need to move forward. I mean, you could spend a lifetime in the past. We have to address some of the past and move forward. So, and there's been many reforms that the police have made. And I'm not going to go through them all, but the Troy Police Department does more training than most of the police departments in the country. And we checked around because I have a team of 5 or 6 people. We've asked others. The command staff is fairly new. I think people need to be aware of that and open to change, which is wonderful. We have seen that. We've experienced that with them. The police department is becoming more diverse. I think in many organizations it has still ways to go, but it is moving more and more diverse. I think one of the challenges is, as many of the police departments are trying to be more diverse, and many in this area, as we get police officers that bring diversity to the force, there's a lot of other agencies who are trying to take them away from Troy. So it's how do we have enough that we don't have the leaving be more than the coming in. So that's a challenge, and the chief is working on that. The command staff is committed to enhancing their relationship with the community and having more visibility in the community. And that's good. I think from what we've heard, we've started interviewing and talking with community groups. Communities want that. The command staff and other officers recognize the importance of collaboration from the agencies and governmental bodies. That's a challenge because many other agencies are understaffed. And so how do they provide what needs? And the last resort is the police. If nobody else comes and nobody else can help you and no other agency is there, things fall to the police. So they have a very important role, but in some ways, in that way, overburdened in that role. And then Troy Police Department is a young organization as far as many of the newer police officers in there. A lot of the old guard has retired and recognizes the importance of professional training, both in the classroom and on the job. And as many people want, they're doing more park, walk, and talk of the police officers. So that has been moving forward. And that's some of what we have seen in our work with them. So from our experience in having time with everyone in the department and many hours with the command staff, and I said 7 hours with every officer, it's our conclusion that we have a police force worthy of us. They're not all the way where we need to be, but they're on the path. And that the city council and the people of Troy, they are worth the investment for city council. They're worth the investment for the city of Troy. And we, the police and the people of Troy, can work together to make Troy an even better city for all the residents in the city, not just one part of it. So one thing that we're recommending is that we all come together and meet and interact together. So we're suggesting that we have a session. We have a slider. We have a session on May 16th at Bush Memorial Hall on Sage College, where the community and the police come together. We're going to have many of the police officers as possible there and have an interaction where we can break bread together, we can talk together, and we can listen to each other. As we talk with the police, sometimes they say people don't know, they don't see me as human. They don't know me. And for all of us, if I know you, I'm going to have a better interaction with you. I'm going to understand you more. I'm going to want to join you more and figure out, and police can't do their job without the citizens, but the citizens can't have the greatest city possible without some presence and assistance from the police. So both things are important. So we're asking people, we have a planning committee for this, and we're asking people to come and join us on the 16th, Tuesday the 16th at Bush on Sage campus. We're also thinking that we might do a similar thing in another part of the city next year, so that we're not just in one part of the city, but we're in another part of the city as we move forward with this. So those are the things that we're involved in. These flyers will start going all around town. We have a coordinating committee that's helping us. We're going to see community groups. There's a community group that we haven't seen and don't have plans to see. Please let us know, because we'd like to meet with all the community groups and talk them through this presentation and ask questions, because we want a great turnout on the 16th as we come together and get to know one another. I think getting to know one another, understanding one another, it's not just a uniform, there's a human being there. And as we know one another, we can together jointly create a Troy that's even better than the Troy that we have now. So that's what
Thank
we
you
want to
so
share.
much, Fred and Emma. Thank you. And the city council actually participated in one of your sessions for 3 hours. And I'm on the committee that's actually working with Khalil Jameson, I'll just say, and Fred and folks. And I just want to thank you for all the work that you've poured into this. Hopefully we'll become a model and you'll be able to use this all across the country and teach others what we're doing here in Troy. And as you said, we're on a good path. And I think one of the things that really stuck with me, Fred, through all of the sessions and meetings is the fact that our police force do not talk about themselves enough. And it's, it's a real struggle because they don't want to, brag about some of their work, et cetera. I think little by little, Steve Barker, he's really stepped up with public information, really getting that information to the people of Troy and to the capital region. So I think that's important, not just patting ourselves on the back, but providing the information. So thank you so much for all you've done. And I'd encourage anyone to give Fred a call. And thank you again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you
Thanks,
to
Fred.
you, thank you to City Council, and thank you to the mayor. It's been an honor to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Fred. Yes,
Can we ask
Councilman.
Questions?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, Fred just came to kind of present things. So I think it's up to Fred if you want to
Sure.
talk.
From you,
offline.
of course.
Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Give
Sure.
you questions. I know you mentioned like a lot of different changes have been implemented. Could you maybe give us like a top 3 that you could think of that?
For the sake of time, I'll do the top, my favorite.
Okay.
Favorite's a funny word. One that I think has been most helpful.
Mhm.
The chief has been very, one of the biggest issues in cities and in organizations right now is mental health.
Mhm.
And the question is, how do you interact with someone who's having a mental health challenge at that point in time? And the chief was very clear that if you send a police car and officers in uniform and they, help you out and they end up having to take you to the hospital, wherever they are, there's a stigma about being in the back of a police car.
Mhm.
And so he's got a group of officers who have training. One of the things I didn't say is our police force, I did say, our police force has excellent training and probably more than most. So they have training and they go there and they don't make it look like a police thing. It looks like a person that's having a challenge and there's some individuals helping them through that challenge. So to me, that's just a symptom of the attitude of we want to make sure that we're not escalating, we're de-escalating. We want to make sure that people see us as helping them, not trying to hurt, punish, or arrest them. And we want to be available to people in their moments of crisis, because that's when we call the police most of the time. There's a crisis. How they show up, they can escalate the crisis or they can de-escalate. And I see them doing a lot of work to try to de-escalate it and help us versus any other alternatives. Thanks for that question.
Great. And then just one more. You mentioned like there's some work that still needs to be done. What would you say is like the thing that you're most excited to work on?
I like work with the new officers. When the new officers come out of the academy, we were having session with them like once a month to really talk about what do we need as citizens. They've got the academy, they got all the police stuff, but maybe they get a little bit of the citizen stuff, but it's not like citizens talking to them. If I had a dream, I would have those new officers spend some time in their early days in going to community groups, interacting with the community. Because once you know people, you treat them differently than if they're just, off and you don't know them. I think there's some opportunities with new officers to make sure that they're learning from day one. And I think they're doing it from their command staff, but it'd be nice for them to learn it from the citizens about and for the citizens to see and interact with them so that we learn and grow and be together. Thanks for your questions. And again, please.
Absolutely. Councilmember Figueroa.
You mentioned the part about talking about citizens. In your study, was there any citizens or community members involved within your study? Because we working on improving the department, right? And the most important interactions and every call
Totally.
that they go to is that interaction. They're here to protect the citizens.
Right.
So during that study, during the consulting, were there community groups involved, were actual citizens? Were they able to give their input on improvements or so forth?
So we wanted to start with the police department itself. And we wanted to make sure that they were worthy of all this that we're talking about. So in our first couple of years, we really focused on them. Now we're starting to interact with the community. Now the thing at Bush is bringing the community and the police together. And then I think after that, there'll be more interactions where we get the citizens break bread together, talk together, think together, problem solve together. So I see that as what's next coming up, but we're starting to outreach to that. There was so much 2 years ago, there was so much skepticism about police forces. If I had come in and said, oh, I'm working with the police, I want the community to come in, we're all going to be fine together, people would have kicked me out of my favorite city in the world. I think we had to say, let us show you that the police are changing. Let's show you where the police are. Let's look at the command staff, look at the leadership they have, look at where they're coming from. And I needed to be convinced also, because I didn't want to come to you and say, this is a police force worthy of your attention and meeting their needs, if I didn't have something where I knew for sure that that was not going to be something that you would be disappointed in if you had that experience. So yes, we need to do that. Yes, we're on the path to doing that. And any community group that would like us to come and talk with them this round, that's fine. And then I think it's community groups meeting with police after this event to continue to build those relationships.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Fred.
Thank you,
Thank
City
you.
Council. Thank you for the
Thank
work
you.
that you do. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for all your work, Fred. Thank you. Thank you, Emma. Marie, yes, please. You can. Thank you, Emma. Thank you. All right. Before we move further, we do have a person that is sitting with us whose birthday is today, and I like to embarrass that person. So if we could all indulge. Happy birthday to Maria. Happy birthday to Maria. Happy birthday to Maria. Happy birthday to you. Are you one? Are you two? Okay. Happy birthday, Maria. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, moving along, vacancy list. It is at the end of our agenda, a number of vacancies, and hopefully the mayor is working very, very hard to fill those positions. Yes, Councilmember Conley
I just
Wilson.
want to note there are the Department of Public Utilities, the lead service line
Yes.
positions that we added. Those are in there.
I
which is
saw
very
that.
exciting.
Yes, yeah. In fact, I spoke to Chris Whelan last week and he had said he has a couple leads already, which is awesome. Also, while we're on this, the lead service replacement program has gone out the door, the RFP. Great news. So keep your eye on that. And hopefully we'll see the program kick in May or June. I'm thinking June, but you know, I gotta say May. So if the mayor heard that, I think he did. We're going to open it up to the public forum. I don't believe our good news person is here yet. So please, you know what? We'll just move that in the middle and you're double duty now. Seamus, Maria has gone to celebrate her 55th birthday. Since she left, I had to hit her. I'm kidding. Thank you, Seamus. So we'll open it up to the public forum. Would anyone like to speak on any item on the agenda? Come on up, Frank. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just
You
gonna,
can pull it right down. Thanks.
I'm gonna try and every time I get on this thing, somehow I get scrambled. They never hear me. So I hope they hear me out there. So first, I just want to say to you, yesterday, at like 8 in the morning, I was called to Samaritan Hospital where I lost someone who was like a mom to me. She was raised like a mom to me, so I'm just a little off right now. So I'm just
I'm
going through that.
sorry. I'm
Right?
sorry,
Yeah.
Frank.
Her name's Edna McCauley, and if anyone in here that, God wrote to save Jesus Christ, just put some prayer, like, please, thank you. Okay,
I'm sorry, Frank. I'm sorry.
all right, but I want to say on behalf of North Central, so first of all, I want to just thank everyone that showed up at our March 5th event, that bowling for a breakthrough. Like it really worked.
It was great.
I mean, listen, all North Central residents were there. We had all the Black pastors there, the ministers there, led by our Bishop Macklin. Wow, outstanding. We had representation from most, if indeed not all of the city council, led by our council president, Carmela. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Emily, wow. Irene, wow. And who's that weren't there? You should have. I know, Mr. Gully. I know you had, what you had to do, but it was an outstanding, right? And for you to be there meant so much to us. Wow. Our mayor. Hey, our mayor was present. Our deputy mayor couldn't be present. But that really, like, wow. He was there. He was mixing it up. Listen, we had many strikes and we had many stares that were thrown for our breakthrough. Let me get this in right quick because there was some question as to, there was a fundraiser, right? We were like $76 short of making like 1,000. So that's what we made. We were able to in that, make some breakthroughs. We were able to take care of our 501c3. We're good. We were able to take care of Mr. Walsh, who owns the bowling alley, who gave us amazing time and amazing. Wow, that was amazing. So we were able to take care of him. And Mr. Gully will know about this. And Maria, I wish she was sitting there right now. We were able to get us a generator.
That's awesome.
North
Frank.
Central so needs a generator. We've been promised for years. 10th Street Park, we're gonna get a power line. And it can't happen, and it's gonna happen, and it hasn't happened. For the last couple of years, our hats to Mr. Gully, outstanding. He's been giving us the generator for the power that we need. He's been the backup for Troy. He's District 1, but District 2 was doing it. So thank you, Mr. Gully, for that. We do now have a generator.
Yeah.
We see for 10th Street Park.
I know.
Okay.
Believe me, we're gonna get that there. We
Thank
got
you.
Ryan too. He's-
Listen, when we say we were voting for that breakthrough was honestly made. It really happened. We saw, and you can see, I didn't scream, I didn't force any events. I did naturally what I do with Carmelo, what I do with Emily, what I do with Irene, what I do with Stevie, what I do with the mayor, what I do with the deputy mayor. And I want to say right now, hey, a very special thanks to Eric for his donation. Thank you, Eric, and the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Really. I mean that. But I want to say, hey, the breakthrough really came because just in my natural actions down there, there are a lot of people from North Central there. And you may or may not have been aware of. And they saw the interaction with the council president. With the mayor. You gotta remember, in North Central, they really don't know what, you know what I mean? They don't. So they got the concept there. And they saw that the mayor would just come and he would talk and he would interact and he would stay. And I think he's just about cutting the ribbon. Well, he stayed there quite a bit of time. He interacted, he mixed it up. It was wonderful. They saw that. Wow, you can even talk to the mayor. I have so many kids now where even they can talk to the mayor, and that's what we were trying to do. Hello?
Yeah.
All right. That's exactly what we were trying to do. We build that relationship now. All right. And so thank you for everyone that was there. If you couldn't have been there, do it again.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank.
All right. That said, you might so there was progress. I mean, I gotta, because I promised the people I would say what they said, right? So between North Central residents, the leaders, the officials, which was there, knocking out the ignorance and destroying the negatives, which would destroy the progress and the process for us and changing, because our whole goal is to change the culture of the streets. Right? And to change the culture of the streets, I'm going to change the neighborhood over here because we have to change the conditions in the streets. We learned that.
Right.
In order to change the culture of the streets, we've learned in North Central over the last 7 years that we have to change the conditions in the streets. That said, them lights, I don't know who has to put them lights. Stands, it's a desk side. No business likes it, no one likes it. There's 20 homeless accidents every day. People don't know where to cross. It's a bit, something's gonna happen a little bit. Some city officials from North Central, those lights at the bottom of Main and 6th Ave, where the fourth corner grocery store is, where the cornerstone barber shop is, where people bring their kids. You got a cornerstone barber shop there where people bring their kids. You got a grocery store there, where the other grocery store, we don't know. I want to say thanks be to God, but on 9th and Mission area has burnt down now, so they're all flocking there. You got so much traffic there. You got parking lot. Those orange light, no one's familiar with that. They're past it. They don't know when to go, when to stop. I'm telling you, there's actually people find where to go. You got to change that.
Frank, the four-way stop was even worse.
Oh my.
So they have the parts on order, the street lights, we're being told, but saying that they're temporary lights, but believe me, they're better than what was there before the four-way stop was.
Yeah, the four-way stop was a mess.
Yes.
And now it's temporary, like, let's make it temporary.
It's, yeah, they're in the process of trying, somebody
understands this. But I'm telling you, you've got a lot of stuff going on now.
we know.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You got it.
Another one is, of course, you know, I'm gonna talk about that new exchange. Hey, right, it was proven. I was here last month, I was here the month before, and I said to you, those mules are going to our abandoned buildings. That's what's happening. And then what happened? The British thing had a fatality. That building, from good organization days, with ownership, is gone. It's no more. No one else can.
Gone.
It's gone. All right. We said to you, this is where it's going. That new exchange is not in it. And look, unfortunately, it had to be proven that way. Come on, son. Okay, I'm sorry. And then, so what we did was, and essentially we put together, we got this for we had the top 5, like a band, so they said, and then essentially, we're not giving to sure that Mr. Sheeran and Cole had one, that Camilla had one, that the Nicholas had one, that I'm gonna make sure that happened. But again, I lost my mind yesterday, so I'm a little off.
It's okay. Frank, I'm gonna ask you to wrap it up, but I want you to know, bring that list.
I'm gonna wrap it up right there. I'm gonna make sure
Good.
that the council president has the list.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna say right now, you plan go up Music Street, take the left to Main Street, get to Richard Street, go just a little bit by. I think it's on the even side. It's like 310 and 312. It looks like a homeless shelter. It looks like a homeless shelter. Let that be number one. I'm squatting it when I tell you it's unbelievable. It's it looks like. But please, check it first. I will give you I got the top 10 list, but I'm gonna give you 5 at a time. Okay, let's address those. The athletics buildings. One second, please. One second, I promise.
It's okay.
It's absolutely 26 9th Street at the top of my list. Look at that.
All right.
Again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Shut it down. Take it out of there. Okay. 272 9th Street. 391 Street. 10th Street. Listen, I got the list. And do something about it.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
We'll press the administration.
Thank you. Thanks again for being here. It's gonna happen. We continue together.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. And sorry about your loss, Frank. Would anyone else like to speak on agenda items? After the agenda items, we'll talk about neighborhood issues. Okay. All right. Let's get in the public forum. Hi, come on up. Yes. Hi.
I'm Doris Day.
Hey,
I'm
Doris.
on Standard Avenue, Troy, New York. My question is in regards to the recruiting process for our civil service or whatever open positions. I see we have several. What other avenues other than our website and maybe Facebook do we utilize to recruit people for these positions? Because the police, the fire department is down 11 people, and we've been having major outbreaks of fires around here. I'm sure these gentlemen are quite tired at this point in time. So I'm curious because I can't seem to get an answer. Do we use Monster? Do we use any other recruiting devices other than our website and whatever else?
That is overseen by the mayor, Doris, and I believe he stepped out, but I know. I can, we'll get the mayor to talk with you and tell you. I will tell you the Troy Fire Department, and you should talk to Eric. They did do video. It wasn't used, I don't believe. But but they do go into high schools and things of that nature. Could they do more? Absolutely, but they also need help from the administration to do that. So I'll let Eric talk to you about that. But regarding the other civil service positions, excuse me, totally overseen by the mayor. And so I don't know where else they advertise, et cetera, but you know, certainly there's a lot of open positions.
And
Put it nicely.
lastly is, our youth person who's supposed to be getting our youth involved in the city. People asking, you know, why are our children not having programs that they can be involved in to like do active work in the city and be compensated for? There's a lot of work in the city that can be done. You know, like they could work with the code enforcement. They could identify
Totally
proper,
agree.
properties that need to be, I mean, they have phones and iPads and stuff. So I think they would be a good force to utilize within the city. But, you know, I emailed, I thought, who was the person for, I guess, Parks and Recs, but I never got a response back. So I'm just wondering, what is Troy doing to give youth opportunities and to actually instill civic pride within these young people, because they don't feel like they're vested in this city, you know.
Yeah.
They're standing around smoking pot, you know. They don't know. And so we need to figure out ways that we can get to the masses, not just a select group. But like, I don't know what the high schools are doing now, but I think that there used to be youth programs like it was EOC, something else like that when I was a kid, that children could come in and they could work with businesses and organizations and feel useful for the summer rather than just be, I'm afraid for our kids for the summer, I tell you the truth, you know.
And Doris, we agree with you, and Councilmember Figueroa and I talk about this a lot. Please know, and I know you know, the council doesn't oversee the day-to-day. It's very frustrating for us. But Councilmember Figueroa, I
Yeah,
know.
so just to answer your question, I'm dear to the youth in this community. I do a lot of work. Council President and I has been requesting information in regards to the Youth Bureau Department. They had one, they just hired another one. So we want to work, and especially me, myself, want to work hand in hand with that department to making sure that we're bringing resources, we bring opportunities to these young people. Because myself, like I said, I do a lot of work, and I know there's, especially, you know, all over, but North Central especially, there is a need. I'm still in question of some monies in regards to a community center. So we trying our hardest. We still trying to get some answers back from the administration in regards to those positions and see what they're doing and check the reports and see if they doing any work. And if not, we looking to really revamp that department to make sure that they are, you know, we work hard, right? When it comes to budget, we spend countless hours and there's monies there for them to interact, to work with the youth in the community. And we're working on that to make sure that they being interactive, and not only them, but as well as giving them the resources and whatever they need to make sure that we're providing those resources to our young people.
Yeah.
And thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Doris, and you are right on, spot on. Would anyone else like to speak on any item on the agenda? Okay, we're going to close the public forum, get right into the regular meeting. Thank you, Double Duty Seamus. Please, if you see us go through a couple items quickly, they were discussed not only prior to this meeting, but also we had a finance meeting 2 weeks ago for a couple hours to go through many of these items. So let's do it. Local Law 1.
Local Law 1, a local law repealing current Troy City Code, Chapter.
I apologize. We got to do Reso 41 first. Resolution 41.
Resolution 41, resolution determining that the proposed type 1 action to enact a new zoning ordinance has no significant adverse impacts on the environment. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Min, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Soriento, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes.
Local law-
Resolution passes.
Thank you. Local law 1.
Local Law 1. A local law repealing current Troy City Code, Chapter 285, to be replaced by a new zoning ordinance. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second? Oh, sorry. Councilmember Soriento, is there a second? Second, Councilmember Conley Wilson, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Local Law 1 passes.
Thank you. Seamus, ordinance 22.
Ordinance 22, approving settlement of taxatory proceedings instituted by Bridgestone Retail Operations LLC on the 2022 assessment roll of the city of Troy. Councilmember Gully at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Min, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Nay.
4 ayes, 2 noes. Ordinance passes.
Ordinance 23. Oh, and on this one, at the request of the admin is strike. It's only the council. Thank you.
Ordinance 23, amending the 2023 general fund budget and accepting additional grant funds from the Troy Capital Resource Corporation for the 2023 Neighborhood Improvement Program. Council President Mantello.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Soriento. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Min, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Ordinance passes.
Thank you. Ordinance 24.
Ordinance 24, amending the 2023 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Ordinance 24 passes.
Thank you. Ordinance 25.
Ordinance 25, ordinance enacting and amending a new zoning, land use and development ordinance of the city of Troy, New York, to be codified as chapter 285 of the Troy City Code. Council President Carmela Mantello at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Min. Discussion?
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
I do think this is a great zoning ordinance. I think it really does push things forward. I still, just want to reiterate, I do think we need to get rid of exclusionary zoning for single family use. I think in the future, in the near future, we're going to need that added flexibility for the development of our city and to house all of the people we need to house and continue to make housing affordable. I also think that we need to consider amending the convenience store. I'm really happy that we're having fresh produce in there. I think it's a matter of having access to food and ensuring that people can get there. Not everyone in Troy has a car. Not everyone can just go up to near HBCC and get groceries there or across the river. It can be really challenging for folks to get fresh food and accessible food, and not that convenience stores are the only place to get it, but thinking forward and developing a 10-minute city. But I am in support of this overall, and I know my motions previously failed, so we got the message.
Not a problem. And, Councilmember Conley Wilson, I do agree with you on several fronts. And, as we move forward, as demographics do change, I think we're going to see a number of proposals come forth regarding this zoning. But I just want to say once again, just reiterate, how much work has gone into this. And I thought 1.5 years, but then when Steve actually said before COVID, it hit me that they have been working on this way before COVID. But saying that, I certainly, am just really thrilled that we're moving forward with this. And, I'm especially excited about the waterfront accessibility and just really trying to balance our economic development, environmental protection. And there's just a number of items in here that move the city forward in that direction. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Ordinance 25 passes.
Awesome. Ordinance 26.
Ordinance 26, ordinance authorizing settlement of certain opioid litigation claims, to wit, City of Troy plaintiff v. certain manufacturers, distributors, and chain pharmacies at all defendants, actions coordinated under caption and re-opioid litigation index number 4000-217, Supreme Court, Suffolk County. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Soriento. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Discussion. I just want to reiterate, Councilmember Conley Wilson and I expressed the need to obviously have a plan by the administration on how the funds will be dispersed.
And being Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Conley
also
Wilson.
As a council playing a role in that, I think it's really important.
Yes.
We understand what's kind of happening in our communities and where those where these services need to be placed.
Duly noted and very good point. Yep. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Ordinance 26, 6 yeas, 0 noes. Ordinance 26 passes.
Thank you,
Go ahead,
Seamus.
Council President.
And I just wanted, I smiled earlier if you saw Steve Strikeman was in the back clapping and jumping up and down regarding the passing of the zoning. So nice work again, Steve. Really nice work.
So, Council President.
Yes,
I know we just
Councilmember Conley
passed this,
Wilson,
but,
yes.
It just occurred
Yeah.
to me that there's been in one of the neighborhood groups that I've been working with, they're actually really interested in just having better like needle exchange
Yeah.
programs in parts of South Central and South Troy. And just like having a program for picking up needles as well, because you can't just throw those in the trash.
Mhm.
So that is a potential avenue that we could go in terms of hopefully, I need to take a look, but for the opioid litigation.
I think it's a great point, and they were at the Osgood talking about a better needle exchange program down there. And I think I think Mara actually was going to hook them up with one of the organizations, but this certainly could be an avenue toward that. Yep. Good point. Thank you, Council Member. We do have our good news here, and before we go any further, let's say hello to Mr. Billy Carter. Please come up, Billy. Pastor Billy Carter. So, yeah, come on up. And anyone else you'd like to join? Mr. Lee, yes. Hello, Mr. Lee. Come on up. Hi, Alvin. Good to see you, Mr. Lee. How are you? Good to see you. Come on over. Hey, Alvin. Long time. Geez. How are you? Good. Awesome. All right, so at each regular meeting, we like to, who are you pointing to? Eric? Eric. He wants you up, Eric. Each meeting, we like to highlight volunteers and folks in the neighborhood who are doing incredible things every day. And, you know, they don't do it for a pat on the back. They don't do it for a certificate. They do it for the thousands of folks that are watching YouTube right now. I'm kidding. They do it for the love of their community. They do it to revitalize their neighborhood. And I'm a true believer in one block at a time. And that's what Billy Carter and Mr. Lee and Alvin and all of you are doing. So I'm going to ask Billy, if you don't mind, let's introduce again.
Reverend Richard D. Turpin.
Oh, Reverend.
My name is Lee.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
What's your store? Everybody knows.
Night Owl News.
Yeah, I used to come to Night Owl News.
Oh,
when he
okay.
was a police officer.
Okay.
And he-
Billy Carter.
Billy Carter. Who's Billy Carter?
Alvin Getson.
Awesome.
Eric Wisher, Troy Fire.
So Billy, there's so much to say about Billy, but Billy and I got to know each other. He's just incredible. He does so much behind the scenes. Billy sponsors an Easter dinner every year, isn't home with his family. He sponsors an open house, and it's all through donations and all through stores and other organizations giving goods, etc. Billy recently sponsored the Get Out the Lead event with Councilmember Figueroa and stewards down in North Central. Billy brings children and youth to various Mets games, Yankee games, outings. He does so much for the community. And like I said, is never looking for a pat on the back. Billy, you're an example that I hope others follow. You're building one block at a time. And we'd love to hear it from Billy Carter.
Thank you so much. But I want to pat myself on the back, so I've asked my friends to say a few words for me. Reverend Turpin.
Madam President, and to all the assembled, it is a blessing to know, I call him Pastor Carter, because all that he does, he pastors communities. And wherever he goes, he's always looking out for the people, which is honoring what the words of our Lord and Savior said, that you love your neighbor as yourself. And Brother Carter has done that. He has touched our community. And I serve as the vice president, area vice president of the Empire Missionary Baptist Convention. And our president is Reverend Dr. Carl L. Washington. And my area is the Tri-City area. And I am happy and glad to be able to work with Mr. Carter, Brother Carter, because he does such a great work. And I wish we had 1,000 of them just like him.
Thank you for today giving me some talking. Especially Carter, we working together every season, some back to school, some Christmas, Easter. We preparing for the some food for the for people, we community, we take care of the community. He not a dedication. That's why we try to work in a better community. We love each other, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alvin.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank the Troy City Council for pointing out the very actions and the very contribution that Mr. Carter has done through the years. Billy and I are congregants at Bethel Baptist Church, where Reverend Byron Williams is the pastor. Billy has served as a trustee, as an usher, and we're also now in the executive board of the Layman's. Bill is just, he's so, he just does not take credit for any of the things he's done. He's, as you were saying, behind the scenes, contributing, and he gets things done. He also works with the Kingdoms Ministry, and that's an ongoing project. He does every weekend. I was having the privilege of working with him on the pandemic, where we had food distribution, and he's always
not only distributed food, but he also made it very spiritual, made people come together. So I'm very proud that you're commend.
Awesome. Thank you, Alvin. Eric?
I'm glad that Mr. Carter asked me to come up here. We kind of work behind the scenes with Billy with the functions he does in the community, donating to different events throughout the year to keep families supported, kids off the streets. And he's the real deal here for being honored. I'm honored to stand up here, him and his brothers, for all they do for the community, right? How about a round of applause for him?
Eric. Very, very nice, Eric. Yep, council member.
I definitely want to thank you for your work. So, during the pandemic, all the food that I was distributing was because of Billy Carter. I started volunteering with him, and he was bringing like tractor trailers, and I went and remember all of the U-Haul. He's like, I got to get rid of some of the stuff. So like, I thank him for all the work he does. My kids every year, basketball, he's always getting tickets for them and stuff. And every time I call Billy, I mean, it's never a no. He just say, let me see what I can do. I was hawking him about the water, and he calls me up, hey, I got all these waters. So I mean, I've had the privilege to work with Billy hand on hand, and he's been a very huge asset to the community, and we appreciate what you do each and every day. Like I said, you don't pat yourself in the back, you know what I'm saying? When there's a call, you answer those Thanksgiving dinners that you give out. I mean, we have to understand that in the community, there's some people that don't even have a meal to eat. You know what I'm saying? They struggle to eat, to even get a meal, and just you being an asset to the community and giving back. We appreciate all the hard work that you do. Thank you.
Really nice. Anyone else want to add anything? Billy, like to read this on behalf of the council. Certificate of commendation in recognition of Chaplain William Billy Carter. Whereas the council would like to recognize Chaplain William Billy Carter and his work in our community. And whereas Billy, along with his friend Peter Ray, founded Kingdom Ministries. And whereas Kingdom Ministries was founded 10 years ago to help the people of Troy that need it the most. And whereas Billy, along with Kingdom Ministries, has distributed hundreds, thousands of meals, clothing, and other necessities. And whereas he's advocated for hundreds of families, and whereas his organization does not just provide meals and clothing, but during the COVID crisis, help vaccines get to the most vulnerable. And whereas Billy and Kingdom Ministries have sponsored field trips, toy drives for the youth, and whereas he has hosted countless Easter and Christmas dinners, believing no one should go without, especially on those sacred occasions. And whereas recently, Billy, along with other community leaders, gave out water and brought awareness to Troy's lead pipe crisis. And whereas Chaplain Billy Carter, through his ministry, never stops caring, never stops giving, and never stops helping. And whereas faith, family, and community are his guiding principles through life, and whereas Chaplain Carter is a true man of faith, and whereas the council is truly grateful and thankful for him, for his great work, like Chaplain Billy has said, we will do what we have to do because we believe that God ordains our every call to advocate strongly for those most in need. Billy Carter, on behalf of the City Council, thank you for all you do. Keep it rolling, and let's give it up for Billy Carter. For you, Billy. Let's get a picture of everyone. Come on over. All right, everybody in?
She doesn't talk the talk, she walks the walk.
Thank you, Billy.
On three, Billy.
On three, 1, 2, 3, Billy. All right. God bless. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations and thank you, Billy Gardner. Keep up the great work, Billy. Sorry. We're going. Thank you.
To, I mean, really. Well, absolutely. I'm gonna be here. It's.
When did you get in?
You okay?
Yeah, you still have to catch up from all your partying.
He's talking catch up. We've been working like dogs. Thank you, Seamus. Seamus on double duty. Okay, let's hit resolution 30. It's really nice.
Resolution 30, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Lexipol LLC for the purchase of software and services under the Sourcewell Consortium. Lexipro LLC, contract number 011822-LXP. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 30 passes.
Resolution 32.
Resolution 32, resolution appointing Commissioner of Deeds for the City of Troy. Council President Mantello.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Mann. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Discussion. Was you? No. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I thought I saw an evil eye.
Resolution 32 passes. 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 33.
Resolution 33, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Vandermolen Fire Apparatus and Stoughton Corporation for the purchase of a new fire engine through the Sourcewell Consortium. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Figueroa. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Min. Real quick, I do believe we asked Eric Wisher to speak to the chief regarding potentially purchasing two rather than one to save money, as when the first one comes in, we're going to have to order a second one. Response, Eric? Okay, so the answer is no. Okay. Go for it, Councilmember Gully.
Can we, Mr. Mayor, can we file, who does make that decision? If you're saying it's the chief of the fire department, the chief of the fire department say it's you, we really need to kind of clarify that. Who would make that decision?
You make decisions about capital purchases. We'll review his equipment request. His equipment request for this year was one pumper. Next year there's none. We may, and there would be one in the following year. So we may look at moving up next year's. We may look at moving up. Losing track of many years. We may look at moving into next year, the one that's slated for the year after, depending on how supply chains go and what the lead time is on pumpers.
So my question would be, since we're going to be bonding for this unit anyways, would it be in our, I mean, would we save money by getting two at once? Would we save money? Would it be worth it just to bond and do it? It takes about a year to build these trucks, right? Is it, buddy?
No, it takes about 2 to 2.5 years to build right now.
Yeah.
We don't know how that's going to take. I think it's a risky time without doing deeper analysis to commit to a vehicle. forward, what that does to rates, what that does to supply lines, what that does to cost and lead times.
Eric, I know you have your hand up.
I brought it up because this pumper is over $200,000 more than what it was 2 years ago, right? They grew exponentially. Wow. The supply chain estimated 24 to 36 months. Engine 3, which is a frontline piece, a 15-year-old pumper that if we wait a year or two to buy and have to wait 2 to 3 years for it to be a 20-year-old piece of equipment that is a frontline piece. The NFPA recommendation for a frontline pumper is 10 years. We don't follow them at NFPA, but that is the national standard, operating standards. But that was my reasoning behind it. The supply chain, right? We're ordering, we're up at the transmission lines, we're ordering other materials, try and get ahead and save money and have it timely fashion. I just thought that we could capture 2 year at this price that would be better off.
Yeah.
Is there a savings in two?
I think you could get a savings. They'd have to talk to Vanderbilt.
There might be a savings if you were already working. We have this conversation with people that looked at cost, we looked at the time, NFSR considered that we were waiting until we consider that the next. And in the interim, monitor how the town.
Do you think any savings in interest would be worth the exponential growth in the price of the unit? I mean, would we really?
If for interest rates are going.
Yeah.
I cannot predict engines coming into. There's a lot of data we don't have yet. Clearly, the economy has been impacted by rate increases. I think telling will be the jobs report coming out tomorrow, and then another one in May. That will indicate where we're going, whether these prices will hold or whether they'll come back down. I think it's just, you're buying at the top of the curve right now. The gamble is the curve going to rise, or is the curve going to reverse slide down? We don't have enough data on that right now. I think it's the written time to buy.
All right, thank you.
Okay, further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 33 passes.
Resolution 34.
Resolution 34, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Stryker Medical for the purchase of 2 new Physio Control Life Pack 15 cardiac monitor defibrillators for the Troy Fire Department. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. On the discussion, I did just want to say thank you, Eric, for coming forward, discussing that. I don't want you to think the council didn't hear you. Thank you. Resolution 34, further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 34 passes.
Resolution 35.
Resolution 35, resolution authorizing a temporary expansion of the scope of services under the contract with Benetech Inc. for administration of the city's health insurance program and an additional expenditure therefore. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Men. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 35 passes.
Resolution 36.
Resolution 36, authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of agreement to share household hazardous waste collection and disposal services with the county of Rensselaer and the town of Bethlehem. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second,
Let's go.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
So this is the household hazardous waste. I don't think it's up yet, but I think if you go to troynewyork.gov/recycling, you'll be able to find those dates and times and all of that once those come up. So I think there's supposed to be one upcoming in the spring,
April.
in
Yeah.
April. So folks can sign up online and then show up. I think we're doing 3 this year. So I just want to make sure the public knew that. in case anyone
Perfect.
listening.
Perfect. Thank you. No, thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 36 passes.
Resolution 37.
Resolution 37, resolution in support of the City of Troy Community Solar Campaign. Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second motion, Councilmember Mann, second, Councilmember Figueroa. I'll third. It's a great proposal. On the discussion.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Just want to make sure people know this is an opt-in program.
Yes.
So you're not going to be signed up, but if you do sign up for community solar, you can get up to 10% discount on your electricity bill. So the next step is that the Economic Development Department's going to help us put out an RFP. We'll find a vendor who can source the electricity for us. And then we'll put that out so folks can sign up. We'll have that up on the website when we get a chance. But this is a really huge step in just moving away from fossil fuels, moving into green energy and all that for electricity. So it's
And
very exciting.
Councilmember, did Dylan give a timeline when the RFP will be going out?
I think in the next couple of months, we just met we met recently with the Sustainability Task Force, and I think we said in the next couple of months, getting that out, and then hopefully by the end of the summer, kind of selecting someone and all that, maybe beginning of the summer.
And while we're on discussion, Councilmember Conley Wilson, Seamus and folks, we did put out notice, so please get the word out there, send it to the neighborhood organizations. For anyone interested in the Sustainability Task Force, we have a few positions that are open. It's voluntary. It's a great group of folks, and maybe Councilmember Conley Wilson can add to that.
Yeah, so the Sustainability Task Force, we're looking for new members to join our committee. And we really are trying to improve energy efficiency in the city of Troy and just kind of be an umbrella organization for all the great sustainability projects going on in the city. I think a lot of people don't know a lot of the hard work that especially our economic development department is working on for a lot of these projects. So it's just kind of a task force. We're looking for people who have experience with like data management, understanding some of the large kind of systems and all of that. So if you have any more questions, feel free to email me, give me a call. My information's on the city council website. And shoot that over so we can take a look and hopefully make some great things happen in the city.
Awesome. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 37 passes.
Resolution 39, and all of us are on it, just so you know, Councilmember. Or Seamus, sorry.
Resolution 39, resolution to proclaim April 2023 as Autism Awareness Month in the city of Troy in conjunction with National Autism Awareness Month and World Autism Awareness Day, April 2nd, 2023. Council President Mantello, Councilmember Figueroa, Councilmember Steele, Councilmember Men, Councilmember Gully, Councilmember Conley Wilson, and Councilmember Soriento.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Gully. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Soriento. You can't motion in second. You can tell he just got back from Florida. Just for folks out there, if you didn't get a chance, Spectrum just did an In Focus session on Sunday, just talking about autism, developmental disabilities. It was maybe a 3 or 4 part segment. And I was truly honored to join Jody to talk about my son, James, being on the spectrum and developmental disabilities. And it is online. So if anyone wants to take a look, and for folks out there, it's a great segment on how to get services, who to call, and for folks out there that want to talk to someone that's child or adult or friend has a disability, it's a great segment. I would like to read this, so indulge me. Whereas each April for the past 5 decades, National Autism Awareness Month has elevated awareness and educated the public about autism and issues within the autism community. And whereas the City Council continues to be committed to the Think Differently initiative to encourage more inclusiveness and accessibility for the developmental disabilities and special needs community. And whereas 1 in 68 children in the United States is affected by autism, Asperger's, or pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, as estimated by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And whereas parents tend to overlook the early signs of autism spectrum disorders, assuming their child is just going through a phase or having an off day. And whereas it's important for parents to differentiate these assumptions from the symptoms, which can present in many different forms. And whereas autism is a spectrum disorder, meaning there can be great variation by the way it affects people. Each child on the autism spectrum possesses unique abilities, symptoms, and challenges. And whereas many children on the spectrum often share common core symptoms, which include impaired social interactions, such as reluctance to join group activities at school, not being aware of the needs of others, impaired communication, and other impairments. And whereas medications are available for some common behavioral symptoms like irritability or anxiety, there are no FDA-approved drugs to treat any of the core symptoms of these conditions. And whereas autism is a disease with significant unmet patient needs and is a complex developmental disability that typically appears during the first 3 years of life and affects a person's ability to communicate and interact with others. And whereas autism is defined by a certain set of behaviors and is a spectrum disorder that affects individuals differently and to varying degrees. And whereas there is no known single cause of autism. In March of 2012, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued their ADDM Autism Prevalence Report, which concluded that the prevalence of autism had arisen to 1 in every 68 births in the United States and almost 1 in 54 boys. And whereas it's imperative that there be greater public awareness of this serious health issue, and more must be done to increase activity at the local, state, and national levels. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Troy City Council proclaims April 2023 is Autism Awareness Month in the city of Troy in conjunction with National Autism Awareness Month and World Autism Awareness Day, which happened over the weekend. We have a motion, we have a second, and all I ask is get the word out there. Education, awareness is so important. And, my son, he's lower on the spectrum, but he has complex developmental disabilities and epilepsy. And the more I can get the word out, even if I can educate one person through this, through whatever we do as a council, as government, as people, it's one person better off. So thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 39 passes.
Resolution 40.
Resolution 40, authorizing the execution of an agreement by and between the City of Troy and Professional Services Industries, Inc. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Soriento. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 40 passes.
41 passed already. And last but not least, Resolution 42.
Resolution 42, resolution of Troy City Council establishing the fee schedule for project review by the Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Historic Review Committee. Councilmember Gully at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? So moved. Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Mann. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
6 ayes,
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 noes. Resolution 42
42 passes.
All right, that concludes our legislation. We'll now open it up. Would anyone like to address the city council of anything happening in your neighborhood? Okay, Councilmember Figueroa.
Before we end tonight, I just want to commend Eric and the fire department. This past couple of days was not easy. As we know, the laundromat was affected by fire and it spread like quickly. I stopped by there. They also assisted, if I'm not mistaken, Albany in their fire. So they've been working extremely hard. They do deserve a lot of credit. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy task. So I commend the whole fire department, Eric, for their efforts in controlling that fire. And you know, thank God nobody was affected. So thank you for your hard work and dedication. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Figueroa. I think we all echo those sentiments. And I did talk to Eric personally, and you know, please relay on behalf of Councilmember Figueroa and the full council, just the appreciation. And I think sometimes, you know, it's not said enough, but it's important to recognize, obviously, our police, fire, and all of our workers and DPU. Thank you. All right, we have a motion. We have a second. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Sure. Hi, come on up. Oh, yes. Bonnie, come on up, Bonnie.
Well, you got 2 minutes left.
Yeah. Don't be nervous. We're everyday people like you. Hi. We even moved the microphone, so it's hopefully more comfortable for you.
Yes, this is okay. I have to say, I'm amazed at how much in agreement you all are about everything is all yes, and there's no opposition. And I'm thinking, if I were on the council, I'm sure I would oppose something.
You missed the budget meetings.
Oh.
No.
Well, I have presents for all of you
Presents.
in terms of.
Hopefully it's dinner.
I want to talk about something that was discussed last year. And I was under the impression it was going to be moving right along, but it kind of stalled out. And that is the establishment of a dog park. And I'm all about the animals, I'll tell you. And so what I have here, so I write for the Times Union, but I also write about local issues.
Thank you, Bonnie.
I have a 4-page petition that I circulated only on a Saturday in the summer when the farmers market was in session.
Thanks.
And I got 88 names of people from downtown Troy who were in favor, strong favor of the dog park.
Yeah.
So I made 7 copies.
Thank you.
You can tell I didn't pay attention because of this one.
Thank you, Bonnie.
So I actually wrote something, but my printer isn't working because I have a piece of paper that's messing it up and I can't reach the paper. So I had to write down my remarks in my own handwriting, which is so bad that I probably will stumble over my words, and I apologize in advance. Okay, so for humans, well, it's the wrong side. The first dog park was started as a social experiment in, of all places, Berkeley, California in 1979. And the park was a great success. It came with many credible benefits to the community, and it inspired communities all over the world, really, to start their own dog parks. They've been documented. The the involvement of dogs and man have been documented for over 33,000 years. And there are currently over 1,000 dog parks around major cities today. One study showed that of the many dog parks, interventions or interactions, they've only had less than 2% that involved aggression. So that has, maybe surprisingly, has not been a big part of dog park problems. Some of the benefits that Troy stands to gain by having a dog park, the obvious ones are that they would provide a place where dogs can exercise freely, well, without the restrictions of the lead or leash, and socialize with other animals, while at the same time giving their families an opportunity to be physically active with them in an unfettered environment, while getting to know other dog families. And a lot of times you discover that your neighbor is someone who has a dog that you didn't even know. And, you build these relationships up at a dog park, because dog owners really tend to like each other. They really do. Other benefits provided by the parks are that it gives a sense of freedom for the animals who are often left alone all day in apartments and sometimes crates. And that's like being in jail. And I'm a pet sitter now. After teaching for years, I said, okay, I'm with the animals now. So I pet sit, and I know that there are a lot of dogs that have to be crated all day long. And I think that's a sin, but that's how, people keep their apartments or their homes nice and clean, and so there aren't torn pillowcases around or whatever they think is going to happen. But these animals really need a place to run and exercise and socialize with other dogs. Let's see. Parks can reduce troublesome behaviors from lonely, bored dogs, and they facilitate socialization among different breeds as well. Besides being physically stimulating, they are mentally stimulating. Energetic dogs have a chance to get exhausted, and I don't know if any of you have ever had an energetic dog, but
Oh, yeah.
You can take them on walks, but I had a beautiful husky that I was walking last summer, and I walked him pretty regularly, and he and I weighed exactly the same. So it was kind of a fair fight,
He took you for
And
what?
he would he was pretty good on the lead, but every once in a while he would just perk up and just start to, jump around and pull and stuff. And I really had to pull him back. And it was a little scary if we were near an intersection or something. It could have been dangerous. And it made me realize, like, all this dog needs is a chance to run. That's all he needs. And it seems so simple and so sad that Troy couldn't provide that. So energetic dogs get that chance. For humans, parks provide a chance to interact with their dogs in ways they can't do anyplace else. And just as importantly, they don't have to worry about offending non-dog lovers, whoever they may be. Dog parks enhance a sense of community and provide an extra element of richness for people looking to move into a given area. And Troy definitely wants to lure the right kind of people in. I know I live in Monument Square, and it's inhabited mainly by young professionals who have dogs instead of kids. And we want to kind of keep that element coming in, people who are educated and will form a solid tax base and keep Troy, improving. And a dog park is something that that kind of person would really benefit from. So it could have a very positive financial effect as well.
Connie, I'm just going to ask you to start wrapping it up. But you know, I will tell you, I know I fully support a dog park. I think it's where can it be located? And the city did try at one time, and it was a complete failure. I actually, when I first was elected to the council, along with a couple other council members, we actually had a committee spearheaded by a bunch of volunteers, and we have a report that's done that recommended various areas throughout the city, and the dog park that was supposed to happen, which was near Prospect Park, didn't happen. Saying that that is one of the areas that potentially was to be looked at. And as you stated, it had a lot of momentum. And then unfortunately, it went by the wayside due to funding and other needs, because water accessibility and things to that nature would be needed. But stating that certainly is something I'm open to. I think the rest of the council, you know, maybe we could regurgitate that report, add to it, and try to look forward for a dog park here in the city of Troy. But you're absolutely right. There's so many benefits. I think conceptually we all support. I can't speak for other members, but you know, I think the question is funding, ensuring that maybe there's some type of volunteer group that would work with the city to just ensure the sustainability. It sounds like you would be a perfect leader of that organization, which would be awesome. So saying that, I want you to know it certainly is something I would be willing to relook at and try to regurgitate and get moving forward. It's not going to happen overnight, but let's get the conversation rolling again.
Yeah, I mean, last January is when I zoomed in on a meeting and spoke extemporaneously, and I was so nervous. And it seemed to be very positive at that point. And I was told that in April, there would be a lot of a meeting where a lot of details would be worked out, and that summer, the groundwork would be laid for the actual building of the park. So I was like,
all jazzed
happened,
up, sure.
you know, and then there was silence. And then I called back in February and was told it was off the agenda.
Yeah,
And-
I recall that. And I do recall the administration, and then some people have moved on, and it just totally went on the back burner. So you're right. You're right.
Call someone who
Yes.
said, we lack the resources.
Yep. Yeah.
That was the phrase. And
So let's figure out, instead of how not to do it, let's figure out a way how to do it. So
what really was curious to me was, I mean, about the location, because I, for one, am all about Prospect Park. I think Prospect Park is such an obvious place. It's so big, it's flat, it has a lot of green area, and it's underutilized.
you're not getting any argument from me. However, there was concern as the committee to locate a dog park here in the city of Troy did get some heat and some resistance from some folks from the Prospect Park Conservancy. So that did happen. There were concerns. So potentially maybe you could talk to them and maybe talk to them about their concerns. So, but saying that, you know, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but there were concerns
Well, yeah,
with
it
the-
was really funny
with
because
the Friends of Prospect.
first it was Prospect, and then I heard it was, I don't remember the name of the street, but an area, you go over the Green Island Bridge and then up that street, it was around there. And then I heard, and I admit this is the park with the best name, but it was Barker Park
Oh.
on Third Street in downtown Monument Square. Well, that's like the dumbest place of all because
I never heard that one.
I
Oh.
heard
Oh,
that.
I didn't hear that one.
Barker Park.
But Bonnie, what I'm going to ask is, we could definitely arrange a meeting with some folks in the economic development and planning. And let's see if we could get that revisited because they did help, the committee that I was a part of, appointing in the council of volunteers. The economic development and planning committee actually helped that group of folks. So we could certainly begin to open that door and move it forward.
That would
Okay.
be cool.
Okay.
And I also just was going along the internet, discovered this place called Park, I don't know, my glasses on now, parkwarehouse.com that sells, and this is getting a little fancy, I know, but it sells various kits that you can set up. So dogs have an agility kind of
Oh,
set up
nice.
thing, you know, so
Okay,
it isn't just
sure.
plain ground.
Yeah.
They have things to do.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
know,
neat.
and one of the things that I thought was really cool was they have a misting fire hydrant. It's $2,000, but I thought that was a really cool thing to
That
have.
is cool.
And baggies, 200 baggies, you know, for the dog's needs are $31. And I mean, you know, depending on how elaborate we can make it, that would be, I think that would be really neat.
It would be awesome. Bonnie, thank you
Thank you
so much.
Oh,
Thank
this
you.
is-
Thank you.
This has been my crusade for years, so anything
Well,
I
let's
can
get
do.
it rolling.
All right.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Are all in favor of adjourning? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? Councilmember Conley Wilson, is there a second? Second, everybody. All in favor? Aye, opposed. For those who celebrate, happy Easter.
Council
Okay.
President,
Yes,
before we go,
council member.
business owners out there, or organizations that would like to support the free concerts at Powers Park this year. I have some forms. We're gonna have a pretty good show this year, probably more than what people think we're gonna put on. But we've been saving for years to put on a really good event. If anybody there knows a business or any of the council people would like to help, this is gonna be
I'm
a
all
pretty big
set.
program book.
I got.
We're gonna have some special things I can't talk about now because I don't want to put it out yet, but
Right.
we're gonna have some great stuff. So,
Jim, can you get the electronic this to me?
well,
Can you get an electronic of this too?
I can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If anybody knows any businesses, I mean, I can. I'm not.
Please.
All
Yeah.
Hey.
right, Kiani